everybody. I am back with a story, and it is for Celebrate Literacy Week. And the story that I have is called Down by the River. And it's all about fishing. It's a fishing story. So a lot of you probably may not have ever been fishing or fishing by a river. So this will take you to a whole new world. Art's grandpa finished loading the fishing rods into the car. Let's be sure we got all our gear, he said. Boots, waders, vest. Check, said Art. Rods, reels, fly boxes. These are all the things that they need for fishing. And they're putting it all in the car. Lemonade, peanut butter and jelly, apples, chocolate chip cookies. Check, 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 check. Art and his mom said together. Grandpa laughed. All set then, everybody in. So they're going to go in the car. They climbed into the car. Mom behind the wheel, Grandpa beside her, Art in the back. I started taking your mom fishing when she was just a young girl. Grandpa said to Art as Mom drove. Mom smiled. They were both heading to the river. It was Art's favorite kind of day, a fishing day. So he's very excited. And he liked Grandpa's stories too. Your mom was 8, same age as you are now, Art. She was a firecracker, all right. It wouldn't be a long ride to the river. Art looked out the window as they passed the golden leaf trees. Autumn had come, but fishing was still good. Art could already picture a big trout at the end of his line. Okay, so they're going to the river. Let's see if they're going to catch any fish. What do you guys think? You think they're going to get some fish? We fished the same river, said Grandpa. Your mama had been asking to fish with me, watching me gather my tackle, looking over my shoulder as I tried flies, always asking questions. Which fly will you use? Here's Ear, can I come? I finally agreed to take her along. So when his mom was little, she used to go fishing too. They arrived at their favorite spot. Made sense to learn from the man who knew Dad. Still does, Mom said. Looks like we got the river all to ourselves. Nobody's there at the river. They got the whole river all to themselves. So that's really nice. So this is something that the grandpa used to do with the mom when she was little. Soon they were assembling their gear, boots, rods, reels, and then the air hummed with the sound of fishing lines being pulled through the guides. On your 8th birthday, I surprised you with your own rod and reel, remember? Grandpa said to Mom as they worked. And the waders and boots, just your size. So they're reminiscing about when she was little, and they used to do this when she was a kid. Like these you gave me, Art asked, shuffling a bit with his big boots. Yes, sir. And we came to this river and we sat and we talked and we watched the water. Grandpa closed his eyes, and for a moment he remembered. Your mom picked the spot. And on the first cast, her very, very, very first cast, she caught a fish. What a beauty. And so was the fish. So he's closing his eyes and remembering the first time he went with the mom and all the equipment that they gathered. And the very first time that she cast her rod, she caught a fish. Oh, Dad, Mom laughed, putting her arm around his shoulders. Art looked at his rod. He never caught a fish on his first cast. It's like, Let's get the lay of the land, Grandpa said. A big white bird flew overhead, patiently searching the river. An osprey, Mom said. He's here to fish too. The only sounds were the rustle of the leaves in the breeze and the gentle rippling of the stream as it flowed beneath. overhanging branches and around rocks, curving around bends above and below where they stood. It was nearly as clear as a glass of water. And as I can see the stones that lay below its surface, just then there was a splash. Looks like they're feeding, Grandpa said. Could it be a mighty fine day of fishing? Do you think so? Art asked eagerly. He was imagining his first perfect cast, and Grandpa smiled when he caught a beautiful fish. So all the birds are hovering, they're all around, and they're thinking, the birds are looking for fish, so this could be a good day for fishing. A small bug with delicate wings landed on Art's arm. The air was full of them, and when they dropped into the water, hungry trout gobbled them with a splash, a slurp. They're feeding on top, said Grandpa, and there's all the fish. They're on top. Mom took a fly from her box and tied it to the end of her line, and then did the same for Art. One of Grandpa's special elk hair caddies fools him every time. She handed another to Grandpa. He tried it on faster than Art can see. There they are. They're getting ready to fish. Mom slowly stepped into the water. So this is called fly fishing, and in fly fishing is a little bit different. You actually go into the water when you're fly fishing. She cast her fly. Oh boy, got one. Same as always, Grandpa said with a chuckle. She's a natural. Mom's pretty good at fishing. Mom slipped her net under the fish. She held the trout, and the trout's a kind of fish, gently into the water, and then raised it to show Art. It's a rainbow, she said. He could see a beautiful white stripe along its silver side. She eased the fly out of the corner of its mouth and dipped it into the net with water. The trout darted back into the river. There she goes. Let's give your mom some space, Art. These deep pools upstream always hold some beautiful fish. Art and Grandpa walked up the bank and stepped into the water. They pulled a line from their reels. You first, Grandpa said. Art took a deep breath. The first cast he lifted from the water, let it extend behind him and cast it forward. The fly flew straight and true, right into a tree branch above the stream. Art looked over at Grandpa and wondered if he ever called him a natural. So Art's having a little trouble. That's his name, Art. So the mom, he's like, oh, your mom's a natural. She's always catching fish. She does a great job. And it got all tangled up in the tree. So his fishing is not going quite as well. They waded upstream together. Did I tell you the story of my first fishing trip, Grandpa? My brother took me along with some of his friends, and the first thing I did was hook my brother on my very first cast in front of everyone. Biggest thing I ever caught, he chuckled. Art had heard the story before, lots of times, and it always made him smile. He took another deep breath and looked up the river. He saw a perfect spot by the far bank, a big rock 15 feet away. Behind it was a section of slow, calm water. He was sure a trout would be there. So do you think that there's some trout there? Think maybe he'll catch some trout? Look how pretty it looks. All the rocks in the river. Have you guys ever been to a river? That's a great thing about books. It can take you lots of different places. Art lifted his line again and then coiled behind him. He remembered everything he'd be taught. Wrist firm, line extended back in a loop. Behind him without hitting the water, cast forward like driving a small fish. The line arched forward and the fly landed softly a few feet above the rock. It drifted with the current past of the rock. There was a splash and the line went tight. Fish on, said Grandpa. Chip off the old block. The rod bent. Art started to reel in the fish and felt the strong tug on the end of the line. The fish darting from one side of the river to the other and back again. Easy does it, Grandpa said. And when the fish got close, he reached into the water, put his hand beneath it, gently hold it while it still removed the hook. It came out easily, and Grandpa held the fish in the water for a moment more. It's a brown trout. Look at that. That's a pretty big fish. It's a brown trout. You could tell by those beautiful spots on the side. 14 inches long. It's pretty big, 14 inches long. I guess good-sized fish, Art. Beautifully done. He released the fish and put his arm around Art's shoulders and gave him a squeeze. So how do you think Art is feeling right now? Yeah, he's probably feeling very excited, very happy. He was trying to make his grandpa happy, and he really wanted to catch a trout. And he finally did. Overhead, the osprey, those are the birds, still circled, searching for trout of its own, because that's what they eat. They like to eat the fish. You'll get one soon, Art called to the bird. Grandpa, one day I'm going to tell my grandkids about fishing with you. I bet we'll be fishing right here, right? Just like the grandpa fished with the mom when she was a little girl. And now the Art is going with them. So maybe when Art has kids and then he has grandkids, they'll all go fishing in the same spot of the river. Just be sure to tell some good stories, Art, like the one. He smiled at Art, pulled him close and said, come on, let's go do it again. Maybe this time it's my turn to catch a trout. And Art made a promise to himself, I am never going to forget this, right? He's always going to remember this day that he caught that trout. That was a big trout too. And then he could tell that story to his kids, just like his grandpa was telling him stories. And he never did. He never forgot it. Again, I really love the illustration. Look how pretty this river is. Maybe one day you guys will, if you've never been to a river, maybe one day you'll get to go to a river, and maybe you'll even get to go fly fishing one day. Maybe you can catch some trout. And this is kind of what you do. So it's like I said, it's a little different than when you go regular fishing. You actually go in the water and you have to wear these special clothes. So because you're going to get wet, so you don't get too cold and because of the wetness. And they're called waders. And you have to wear this vest, and this vest has everything you need, all your fishing equipment. Okay, and your hat, sunscreen, sunglasses. Okay, so these are some things. And it says, the author wrote to my father, Jack, for taking me fishing when I was a boy and sharing trips as I got older. And to my mother, Gloria, whose love of books gave me my passion and my career. And that was from the author. And that was Down by the River. I hope you enjoyed that story. Oh, and the author is Andrew Weiner. I hope you enjoyed that story. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you, everyone.